Hi, welcome to another episode of Clear Light Connections, where we talk to the people behind the businesses of Bay Area Houston, proudly sponsored by UTMB Health. Special guest today, we have Jay and Lauri Coppock, and you're representing today Charred and Starred.
Correct. And a nonprofit that kind of was the evolution of Charred and Starred, and it's called S.E.R.V.E. And so we'll talk a little bit about both of those today, if you'll let us.
Well, then, yeah, let's talk about S.E.R.V.E. first, because it is going to be Veterans Day
Correct.
soon, and it's a veterans organization. Tell me, how did you get involved with that, and then how did it lead into this, would you call it a side hustle, or?
I wouldn't call it a hustle. I mean, it's a way to give back to the community in a very unique way.
Yeah.
Overall. So how S.E.R.V.E. started was, I've been in this area for 33 years. I know an awful lot of people. And so networking is one of the things that I would say I'm halfway decent at. Back 6-7 years ago, we were looking to start a community development corporation at the credit union. We did some research, ran into some people, found out the statistics for Galveston County, how many veterans were here, no services for them whatsoever, no connections. They all had to go into Houston. And I had met two gentlemen that each ran a nonprofit for veteran-specific programs, but they hadn't met each other. So I got them in a room, and it was like magic. And so now all of a sudden, they can refer each other based on what those organizations offer. And I said, okay, well, I think we can do this even bigger. So I said, who do you know? So we got them and 3 other groups in a room, and that's how S.E.R.V.E. started in August of 2015. And it ran under our Keystone CDC banner, which is our nonprofit. And it basically allows me to bring network with veteran organizations, not to specifically help a veteran, that's kind of an odd thing, but that each one of these organizations get to know the other members of the organization so that friendships could be made, that understanding of what each one of them did for veterans so that they could share resources. So if you needed somebody that was needed mental health, but you did home buying, well, you're not going to have that. So now all of a sudden you've got a mental health connection. And it was just magic. I mean, it really was. And we just celebrated 6 years. We've got about 55 organizations. We're well known. We're actually receiving an award on Friday to be recognized for our service in the community. So exceptionally proud of S.E.R.V.E. because of what it does, and then the uniqueness of a credit union actually having a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And that the nonprofit itself is for community-based programs, one of which we do home buyer, we do grants and things of that nature, but another offshoot is veteran services. And so I'm able to head that up, and it's just been cool. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of people that we can help and the connections and friendships that we've made.
That's the thing, is you become a connector of people, and the resources were there, but not everybody knew about them.
Correct. And it's interesting. We went to an event this weekend, and there are services that I didn't know existed. And not that I should, because I mean, I'm not a veteran myself, but I've run in those veteran circles for 6 years, and I am astounded by what is out there that people don't know about. And there are a ton of great organizations.
So circle back to, you guys have been laser focused on the veteran community. How did that really, what struck a chord with you?
Well, one, it's not just the veteran community, it's veterans and first responders. So I have not most, but quite a few members of her immediate family are police officers and have been. We've had, unfortunately, multiple members of our families involved in school shootings, one here and one in California. And so it's kind of hit home a little bit. But probably about 7-8 years ago, there was a lot of bad press floating around about police officers in general and things of that nature. And we just said, we support the blue, we support the red, we support all of the first responders, and so we decided to put a program together for it at the credit union. And that's kind of really where that process started. It wasn't just veterans came second, the first responders came first, and so we have an entire program at the credit union built around that facet. And with S.E.R.V.E. it allows us to kind of delve into more things for the community, be able to do a lot of events, and most of, statistically at least, 20% or so of veterans were police officers or vice versa.
Yeah.
And then firefighters not worse, but much, much, much higher. So, for instance, in Boston, they say 80% of the firefighters were former military, which is just incredible when you think about the skill set that they can transfer back and forth.
Yeah, and I think it shows a willingness to serve, both veterans, first responders. It's all about service. My parents were volunteer firefighters, and, it's all about, they're willing to sacrifice to give to their communities, or in this case, their countries.
Yeah, and Veterans Day, with it coming up, the guys that are part of my network, and I've got 5 veterans that are on the executive board. So they really keep me straight as far as what veteran services are out there, what we can do, what we can't do. But 2 of them are Purple Heart recipients, and that's a whole different level of understanding what really goes on in the military.
Yeah.
To have that. But and Veterans Day, obviously is there to honor those that have lost their lives. I mean, these 2 guys very easily, both of them died. One of them died multiple times while being transported. But it's astounding that the service that they do after the fact, and that I'm able to connect with them. And I mean, it's incredible, because they didn't do it for anything other than it was a calling.
Yeah. And so how did Charred and Stars get born out of this?
So I'll let her do that one.
Well, I was going to say the thing about the S.E.R.V.E. also, that he backtracking a little bit. When he came home, I at the time was in BNI, which was Business Networking International, and so we talked about this. What could we do? What could he do on his end? It would be easier for him being in the credit union. And we were talking about names, and he was like, well, what if I just do VNI? And I'm like, you can't do that. You can't do that. Guys, it's not international.
Yeah, actually, I remember that.
So coming up with the name was kind of interesting to figure out that acronym, and it just ended up being perfect. So he was just asking me about BNI, how that worked, and it's almost the same thing. It's just with veteran organizations. So just something unique that we just took off of that. But then with Charred and Starred, how long? I don't remember how long after you started S.E.R.V.E. It's been 3 years, so it's probably about 3 years later, right? Yeah.
2018.
Jay got a couple flags presented to him that are now in my office. They were in his office. One was a blue line flag, and was it the red?
Yes.
Red line. And so they were hanging up, and he just thought those were the coolest thing. He just found out who made them. It was a police officer in League City. And so Jay called him, and he was like, "How did you do this?" And he was like, "Well, here's a video." Basically gave him a video. YouTube. And then he comes home and he's like, I want to do this. Yeah, I'm like, what do you mean you want to do this? Like, we have time to do this.
Yeah.
I was like, just something else you want to do. So he went out and bought wood, and we didn't even have a shed or anything. He brought it in the house. I mean, that was a disaster.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Just to put it
my
mildly.
kitchen table. And I'm like, really? So he started working on this thing. It turned out okay for what we were thinking. But then after a while, we were like, okay, if we're really going to do this, this was like his baby. He was like, I need your help, because I do have some art background. So he was like, come help me with this. So I was like, okay. So I kind of got sucked into it. And now, of course, it's more, I feel like now it's more mine. After all that, it's like it just kind of fell on our lap. But we have a she shed that he calls it. And
for those listening to the podcast, they won't have the benefit of actually seeing what it is we're talking about. Describe the process of making these flags and the sizes and things like that.
Okay, so when you make a flag, and it's actually the U.S. flag, so look at that as the dimension. So we use 13 stripes, and that are 13 pieces of wood for the 13 stripes. And so we'll go out and we will actually take in. They're typically 18 and a half to 37, 18 and a half inches wide by 37 inches long. I try to stay as proportional as possible with an actual U.S. flag. And so if you go out and you read, how a flag is actually built. So I mean, there's specific rules, like the Union where the stars are. It's 40% of the length of the flag. And so if you're doing 37 inches, it's 40% of that is where that is, and you use 7 pieces of wood for the Union. So it's very specific about it. But then inside of that, if it's a traditional American flag, we'll paint the 7 stripes red, and we'll leave the other ones burned, so that you kind of have that red, white, and then we'll paint the Union blue and put the stars on top of it. And then what's unique is that you then have the ability in the Union and what we do a lot of is that we'll do a traditional American flag, and in some cases it's black and white, which is considered what they call the frontline flag, or a traditional American, which is red, white, and blue. And we'll actually do the seal or the logo of the military branch. So Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard will take their logo, put it right in the middle of the Union, and then we'll design it. The only one that has color in there is the Coast Guard, because it has an actual American flag in it. So we actually paint the flag in that one red, white, and blue.
Okay.
So if the others had a flag in it, we would do the same. And then we surround it with stars. And so that's the traditional flag. And then, so when you look at it, it is 13 pieces of wood. It is a certain, most of them are relatively the same width and the same length, so that they maintain that proportionate to a flag. And so I had to learn a lot about flags. We do a lot of research on sizes and scope. Even though it's California and I'm in Texas, I still research. I went out and bought the right paint. You have to do it right. So when you build these flags, they're proportionate. They're traditional, flags that you hang, inside your house. Are, absolutely gorgeous. And I'm not biased. And then you can hang them outside. And,
yeah, we do spray them.
We
spray them with
spray
the
them
clear
so that because we burn them. We actually set each one of these things on fire. We
really
make sure
weird,
that the soot doesn't get all over you. But for somebody that is, hopefully I've described it well enough. But if you go out to the website, it's kind of one of those that if I could put every design we've done out there, I would have 1,000 pages, and I've only sold 575 of them. But that's how people are extremely creative about what they do. The one in my car that I told you before the show, it is a black and white traditional American flag, but on the right hand side it's split and it's got this 17-inch New York Yankee logo. And at first I told him, I'm a Astro fan. I said, but you're doing this for a good cause, so I will go ahead and do your Yankee.
People are challenging.
Oh yeah.
I know. What do you do? But so hopefully that kind of talks about how the flag is done. But we start with raw wood, build it to the specifics, set it on fire. And then we'll paint on top of that. So if you really do see the flags, you'll see the burn and the charred. So the name comes from charred because we set it on fire, and starred, obviously, because we put stars in the unit.
Right.
It just seems to work.
And I encourage everybody to go to the website and see the product. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's charredandstarred.com. And what happened was that I had asked for flags. We had gone on a cruise in 2017. It's kind of where it really started.
Oh, I forgot about the cruise.
So I'd gotten the flags from an employee of mine because we were doing some things with League City Police, and as she stated, and so I got this flag, but I ran into a guy on there that was from L.A., 43 years as a sheriff. And so we carry around bands, and you can't really see them, but the bands I had designed when we started the program originally says honoring those who protect and defend us. And I carry 100 of them with me pretty much everywhere I go. So if I run in or identify somebody as a veteran first responders, I give them the one off my hand. Well, I ran into a guy that was 43 years in the sheriff's department in LA County, which is phenomenal in of itself. And so he retired. I ran into a guy that was 30 years as the fire marshal for Orange County, and they were having fires. And so I told him to myself, you guys are going to get a gift in the mail for your service. And that's kind of where it started. And so the reason why we started building them ourselves, it took so long to get the flags to them, that it kind of wore off that instant wow kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we've actually stayed in touch with one of the families. But from that came, okay, let's make flags. And we started with the traditional, blue line, red line, white line, that kind of stuff. We then had somebody say, well, can you do this? Okay. So next thing you know, we do mostly military flags. Our biggest seller is Coast Guard. There's not a lot for
regional Galveston area. Yeah.
So but and then it evolves into it's very personal. It's very personal to me. I mean, for a lot of reasons, and we don't have enough time to go into all of them. But we take the care to pick up the phone and call or have a long conversation so that when we build the flag, one, it is unique and individualized for every single person. We're not that talented to do everything exactly the same 2 times in a row, so each flag is individually.
That's very different.
They're all different, be it the stars or whatever. But they get to personalize them. They get to put notes on them. They can. We've carved birthday messages on the back. We've put various things on the front of them based on that. We have one that has the Pledge of Allegiance on it, and the most important, probably the best thing for me, is actually delivering it to somebody and they get to see it for the first time. And I mean,
people just they like to see their name on something.
Yeah.
It's the personalization.
Or what they thought of. It
it came to life. Yeah.
And so we actually did. I made a bunch of flags, or not saying me, we. Sorry. One of the hardest things we did was that we made flags for Chris Reed. For his family, his wife and children, and that was tough because we actually knew Chris very well. And then unfortunately, 6 months later, we followed it up. We were making flags for Kayla's family, and we ended up which is out of was it Kemah or Nassau Bay? Nassau Bay. And it's amazing that just that simple act. And so what has transpired now between S.E.R.V.E. and say the flags is that we make a lot of flags and we donate them to charities, and we don't ask for anything from them. Very rarely do we charge anything for them, but we want them to have them so that they can make money for their organizations. If somebody wants 5, 6, or 7 of them, then we charge just enough to cover the wood cost. But we probably donate 70 or 80 of them a year to various organizations. We do all kinds of events. You see us on Facebook a lot because we're going to the events that we're helping sponsor with some of these things. And so it kind of brings the whole, veteran and first responder and our entire mission that we started almost 7 years ago full circle.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that passion progress from S.E.R.V.E. then to Charred and Starred, and there's probably something else down the road, I would imagine.
Probably
we have to retire from one of them.
And she's just, it is a lot of work, but it's kind of odd. We've lived in the same house for 30 some odd years, almost 30 years. We do, like I said, you could see Lauri and I, we're together almost everywhere we go, but we spend an equal amount of time on the weekends in our she shed. And we're making flags.
That's what he calls
it.
This is what you call it.
Well, it's not
People
what I call
like
it. Cheryl from State Farm calls it a she shed. Hers got burnt down. So why wouldn't you call it that?
We even expanded the she shed.
Yeah, we made the she shed twice as big.
We used a chamber member to expand our she shed for us.
Yeah.
So what's it like working together that much?
It's fine. It gets really loud in there with the drumming and the dog and everything. So we just put on music, but we do collaborate really well together. Like he'll make something or create something and say, how does this look? He's really the builder of the flags. I don't like using the saws, and I'm the one that does a lot of the drumming. Yeah. But honestly, we both probably work on each flag equally, which is really cool because you have
areas.
Yeah.
If he'll do stars, I can do the custom piece, and then that's why it's so different. You'll never see one that's alike because we both work on them.
The best way to describe that relationship is that I know how to build them, and I know what I want them to look like. And she has the artistry to be able to make what I'm thinking do.
I have to read his mind
and
a lot.
most of the time she's not happy with me. Like we had this one guy. This was the 2 flags that she's had to do that she's probably gonna.
He has to promise
never do it again. One of them was a guy wrote a book. We met him at one of the markets. He wrote this book, and it is an astronaut on the cover, and it's very dark. I mean, it was very dark and mysterious, and it was a crime book. And so he said, "I want that on a flag." I'm like, "Oh." All
He's
day.
like, piece of cake.
Lauri,
like, really?
So it is a work
what did
of
you
art.
just
And I actually will send you a picture of that, but it took her forever. But
it took me about a week.
When I laid it out, I said, this is what I'd like it to do. And so she laid it out. She says, okay. But then she said, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And it made it so much better. I mean, it was incredible. It's probably one of the
He keeps making me paint, and I'm not a painter.
Ones that we've done. And I say we, but she did most of it. But it was a gun box that actually had rails on it and everything else. I mean, I thought the guy was going to cry when we gave it to him. But the one she's working on now, the lady wanted a California flag.
That's another one
underneath
really?
it. And so we do a split version of it. So it has a California flag. She says, well, why are you making it so big? I said, well, the flag's supposed to be California first, and then you overlay. Well, just make it a small California flag on the left. I said, that's not how flags work, honey.
So we died.
It's a flag.
It's like, what are we doing?
You have to cut it off in the middle or whatever. So she's having to paint the California flag on 40% of this deal, and it's.
Do you know what the California flag looks like?
Yeah, the big
it's
bear,
a bear
in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
a big bear that's 2 different colors.
One thing I've noticed when we've interviewed other couples that own businesses together, it's there's always complementary skills, and you guys sound like that's the perfect example. You sound
he
like
definitely has the vision, and then I was never good at geometry, so but he can like do that in his head, and I have to like have it laid out. I'm very visual, where he can just do that in his head. And I'm like, let me see what you're. Like draw this out. Let me see what you're thinking.
And the traditional ones. I mean, the Marine Corps one and everything else. I love doing the Marine Corps one. She hates it.
It's the
but
hardest
she won't
one
let me do it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny.
It's very
no matter
detailed.
What, I give her the choice. You want to do the easiest one, which I'm not picking on the Army, but theirs is the easiest one to do. You want to do the Army?
And I do not like doing the Army one.
Marine Corps. I'll do Marine Corps. I'm like, okay, it takes the longest. Okay, whatever. So that's.
I've done it so many times though that I can almost do it in my sleep. Now it's like, but it is the hardest. It does take me the longest.
So how many flags have you guys made?
So we're at about 580 right now that we've kept a log on. We're probably closer to 600. We do a lot of other strange stuff. We do gun boxes as well. You could take any top and put it on there.
He's even made a table out of it.
Made a table out of one. Actually,
really
made
cool.
a table out of 2. And we do just strange little things. We have a hidden gun shelf that's really not a flag, but it's more into that home safety arena.
Now, and both of you are successful in business outside of this.
Yeah,
have you learned anything from this new venture that you has helped you in your other work?
Probably, maybe I'm not really good at time blocking, but this has helped me time block a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do work full time, and we're all day long, and then we do this at night, or on the weekends. So that's why it's just.
And you
it
guys
gets
are
a little
both
crazy.
super involved. So I mean, you
Yeah.
must have to
We don't sleep a
really
lot.
think about when you're going to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we what I've learned is that there is no difference in skill sets. I mean, granted, you got to know how to build and everything else, but every conversation I have with any person there would be the same conversation you and I would have with somebody at the credit union about starting an account or wanting to do a loan or whatever. You delve into what it is that they're looking for, make sure you understand it, tell them back what it is, and then deliver it. And we have an Etsy shop, we have a Facebook shop, we have a website. So we've learned how to mirror a lot of different types of social media, which is more her strong suit than mine. But we're able to take the orders, fill them, have conversations. The furthest we've shipped one is to Israel. So I had to learn how to do stuff through the military EPO system, which was very interesting. But we've done them all over, all over the country. As a matter of fact, when we shook hands, I told you we got an order out of Etsy while we were sitting there. And so that one's number 101 on Etsy.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool. But we have a lot of fun. I don't, we had to give up a lot of stuff. I know that sounds odd because we still do a lot of stuff. I am a sports nut, and we didn't have any time. And so football, baseball, basketball, all those things kind of went by the side because, wow, do you know how much time a guy or gal spends watching sports, especially during football season? Man, and I love it. But it was kind of one of those, okay, if I watch football all day Sunday, I'm going to have like 8 minutes maybe to do a flag.
Yes, I'm not a football widow anymore.
No, and I don't want to get up 4:30 every morning to start my day making flags, especially now when it's 40 degrees outside.
Well, and I think COVID also had a lot to do with, when there wasn't anything going on.
Yeah.
That helped us create a lot.
But the connection between everything that we do is basically just helping people. The flags to serve, to kind of building that that continuation of helping people in there. Yeah, neither one of us served in that regard, but now we get to serve.
Yeah.
And it's
We have a couple family members in the military, or that were in the military.
and we've met some incredible people, and through S.E.R.V.E and through what they did, and this is a very important week for a lot of people, myself included, but more importantly for the families that lost somebody, throughout the many wars that we've had, and we've unfortunately done a lot of tribute pieces for people as well that have lost family members, and sometimes they're not in the best of circumstances. We've been fortunate, and I love to tell people this because it's pretty cool. We've made a flag for a U.S. congressman, specifically for them. We've made a flag specifically for a rock star. We actually made one for Joe Walsh, which was really cool.
Nice.
We didn't get to deliver it to him, but Drew Carey actually received it and actually brought it out on the stage where Joe Walsh, it was actually for Joe Walsh where he was singing. And so everybody in the crowd got to see it. And it was pretty cool to be able to say that, I've got Purple Heart recipients, I've got families of, Gold Star families that have received them, and then, which makes it more, that in of itself
special.
I love how passionate you've been about, and how it's continued to grow into something else.
Yeah.
But it's all very focused.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key to that success. And then obviously you must have a great marriage because you're making that work too, in addition
years.
to building flags.
I guess I still like him after 34 years.
Yeah, I don't like to correct her very often. It's 33. We've been together over 34.
Okay.
Whatever. She didn't say marry. But anyway, that's how we get along. Is that
Exactly.
I'm never right, and so even there you saw
Pretty
how.
much.
Good husband.
Yeah, when I correct, it's just way.
I've trained him well.
Yeah, but it just. I'm extremely fortunate. I have an incredible partner, wife, friend that we don't fight in that regard. We don't.
We don't have time now.
Well, I mean, even on the
flags.
flag stuff. I mean, it's so funny is that and I've done it. She's done it. We've screwed them up. Like she was drunk one day. I get.
Oh my gosh!
I kid.
I don't drink.
I know where we're filming this. But sometimes you just get you work and you don't see it. And so she finished this bottom line and engraved, and I swear it.
He was like, "That's crooked."
It went at like an 82-degree angle across the wood, and I go, "Did you even look at that?" Yeah. Look. Okay. Look at it from this vantage point. Okay, yeah, it's crooked. Peel it off, start over, and you just.
Yeah, it's one good thing about the flags is because they're the way they're put together in sections, we can do that.
Yeah.
And I've
If
done
one
that
of-
too, where it's like
He forgot
you know, you
stars
didn't-
on
yeah,
one, so he's
I
talking about
delivered
me.
one, didn't have any stars on it. And she's like,
He's like,
you know, they have stars.
okay, the flags have stars.
So they are really unique pieces.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Well, even the guy was looking at it, he goes, God, there's something odd about this. And he didn't even know that the stars were missing. And so finally I go, I picked it up, put it back in my car. I said, I'll be back.
So, I mean, just like anything else, but we will correct anything. We had a funny story that a guy called that he delivered it to the customer, not the customer, but the guy he delivered to called and said, kind of was upset. You spelled my name wrong. And he's like, I spelled your name. You need to call your friend because I spelled your name exactly. Because we copy it.
Call your friend. You know,
yeah, your friend spelled your name.
I-
But anyway, what we did was we just redid that bottom line and shipped it to him.
Yeah.
Obviously, no charge or
instructions
anything.
on
And
how to
instructions
replace
on it because it's really easy. You just pop it off and put it back.
Yeah.
What do you
So I
mean?
mean, things happen, and it's
No,
just-
I didn't.
We
I had
always
to tell him.
it's
No.
how you respond to it. You know, we all in our businesses too, and that's kind of what we've also.
Yeah, and that's
brought
why I
over
hate
from our
saying
business.
no. That's why she gets mad, and she doesn't actually get mad at me. There's part of it, but
No, I just try to
when they
figure out how
want
to
to build
do
a
it.
flag and they want to build it in honor of somebody or for somebody that served, we will almost, bend over backwards 3 times over just to make it happen because that's special for the person that they're doing it for.
Yeah.
And if somebody needs it tomorrow, I literally will stay up until 4:00 in the morning to build it to have it shipped out the next day if they really needed it tomorrow. And that is our commitment to making sure that those guys that they're trying to honor, whether they're living or dead, are not forgotten.
Yeah.
And that's where the S.E.R.V.E piece of it comes in. And S.E.R.V.E actually stands for Southeast Resource Veterans Effort. And so it was all about making sure that the veterans in the Southeast area, in the Galveston County or Gulf Coast area, had somebody that they could reach out to and say, hey, and then all of a sudden it's, okay, we can do a little bit more. And so we don't make a ton of money on the flag. We're not supposed to, but we make just enough to pay for the wood, to keep things going.
Sponsor
we
events.
and then to be able to sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as long as we can keep doing that, we don't really, care. If we retire, we can probably make a go at it as a full-time company. But we're not there yet. We're still doing our thing with our jobs, and our jobs are very flexible with us and have been for many years. And I love every bit of that. So.
I agree.
Well, thank you both for what you're doing. Obviously, it's a passion project, and it shows. And I do encourage everybody to visit the website. The images on there are fantastic. Yeah. So you guys are doing great work, both in the community and with the veterans, but also with the actual flags.
And hopefully, and so the website of the flags is charredandstarred.com. But the other one, and probably more important than that one, is if you know a veteran that needs resources or just cannot get help or doesn't know where to go, it's info@setexasheroes.com. They can go onto our website. They can see a lot of the organizations that we deal with, and they can actually send in a contact form that says, hey, I need help with whatever, and we'll reach out.
You'll connect them.
Yeah, we'll connect them with whatever the individual that needs the help. So that was probably, as much as I like to do the flag one, the info@setexasheroes.com is
more important.
Is a lot more important because
Okay.
that's the big piece. So hopefully we can make that one stick too. So
Well, thank you both.
thank you.
Thank you.
been a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate you having us.
Hello, Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce members and Bay Area Houston. If you're a business wanting to expand your customer base, give back to your community, think about the quality of life around Clear Lake area, think about joining the chamber. Go to clearlakearea.com for more information.